The objective of this video is to help you understand ways to accomplish missions on the FLL competition table. Those missions generally involve collecting something and bringing it back to the base, delivering something, locating something, and so what we've done is recorded examples of how those missions were accomplished in general. There's not enough specific information on here to show you how to exactly build the robot, but we're trying to help give everyone ideas on how to use sensors and how to accomplish missions more effectively. To determine the exact amount of points from each mission, you need to go to the ORTOP website and find out how many points and exactly what the rules are for each one of the missions. Okay, this is about collecting things with the Lego system. You'll notice here that what they have in the front is just kind of a scoop thing, and then they've got that piece that flipped over and that held the items in the scoop so they could take them back. This one here is really interesting. What it does is it comes along here, and you'll notice how it also has a claw in addition to that catcher in the front. Now this one here is real simple. It just comes around and kind of sweeps and then pushes. So they were able to collect those corn and get them back that way. Now this one's really sophisticated, and it opens up and then reaches in and grabs, goes for another swoop, reaches in and grabs, and you'll notice how that one then walked back and got all the stuff back. Now this one here is another one of these kind of roll up, and then it's going to flip, and it was supposed to knock the coal car so it would come down that time, but it didn't do that, and then it was also going to get the corn. Now this is kind of a sweep and grab thing too. Notice how that swept around, grabbed that, it comes back here, sweeps, and again just pushes them back. So instead of picking them up, it just pushes them back. This one here went out, pushed this tree, and then it's going to go around and move, and it was supposed to line up, of course, and sweep. Then it twists around, then just pushes them back in. Now they kind of missed on their alignment, so the use of some sensors would really improve that. Now watch this one as it goes on over here, and it's going to come up and it's going to try to trip the coal car. They're doing two missions at once, and then again they just kind of grab these things and push them back. So there's nothing real sophisticated about this. Real simple push, not much mechanism. Now here's a mechanism that's tied to a NXT motor, and you'll notice that it has kind of a basket on top of it. This thing's going to go out, it's going to turn, pretty much line itself up, and it's going to go over here and basically use that basket to grab all this stuff. Now how do they get the robot back in? Notice it flipped up, and then they were able to take the things out of the way, and then the robot drove in, because the robot has to get back to base and be inside of that area. This is another implementation of the basket concept. Now you'll notice that little piece that they put on, that was actually a sensor to tell them when they are in the location they want to be. So you'll notice this will go out, and when it bumps and senses, backs up a little bit, drops down, and then you'll notice they had that double movement there so that they could pick those things up and bring them back, and then of course take all that stuff off. Now any attachment that you build has got to be able to be attached and unattached quickly. Here's another one with an attachment that flips down, grabs the stuff and drags it back. It's quite a different implementation. You'll notice there was a light sensor there, and there's a touch sensor also on the front of this one. It's going to now follow the line, and this is where it's actually spearing through the center of these, and then that spear lifts up, and it's picked these up in a very precise kind of a way. It's going to come around, and we're going to see here if it's going to knock this coal car so it can come down. It did that, and then you'll notice that this time, rather than spearing these others, what they've done is they've kind of got a hook and sweep method, and they're going to drag these things back into the base. All of these methods are able to gather and bring something back. Here's another implementation, and this one comes out and basically flips down and is supposed to catch all this stuff and bring it back. Again, location and getting your registration right so that the robot actually goes exactly where you want it to go. You can have the best of mechanical ideas, but if the robot isn't in the right position when the mechanical device executes, of course you're not going to get the desired result. Here they're going to run this over. This one's pretty simple. and it just flips the lever down, grabs those things, and brings them back. Now here's another one, and this one's kind of interesting. You see the motor there, and it's going to flip this thing down. At the same time that it flipped it down, it deposited something. That thing that was left there was actually supposed to be left there. This thing almost looks like a swather in that it had, which is a agricultural piece of equipment. For those who don't know, it's going to go out and it's going to line up, locate those things, and sweep around, and then it's going to basically close the hatch and essentially contain them inside so that it brings them back to the base. Now this one here is really sophisticated, lots of mechanical parts, and you'll notice it's got a big net on the top of it. It's seeming to find itself, so it's probably using a light sensor to locate itself now, and then it's going to go forward. So we're trying to accomplish multiple missions. That thing goes down slowly. You can see the NXT motor turning there. It reached over and it tripped the coal car and let the coal car go down, but then you'll notice their apparatus is so heavy on the front of this one that they can't seem to get it to lift back up so that it could get the next group, and you can see the student is here working on trying to lift it up. Here's another angle on one of these that basically throws a net down and catches the stuff and brings it back. You'll notice how quick the kids can remove those apparatuses. Here's another, basically a netting type thing where you just flip the net down over it and bring it back. That's kind of the concept. Now this one here, you'll notice it also has kind of a sweep and gather position. It's going to go around here, hopes to get all of them in, and then it flips the trap door down essentially and tries to bring all these things back. It's supposed to come back into the base. That one kind of worked, but then it didn't get back into the base. On any of these implementations, you really need to have it able to work consistently 9 times out of 10. If you're getting 8 times out of 10, there's a chance that it might work in competition. If you're getting 9 times out of 10, there's a good chance it'll work in competition. And if you can get it to work 10 times out of 10, it will probably work in competition, assuming that you have not done something else to the robot in a way that makes it so the robot gets out of adjustment, or assuming some other factor doesn't keep it from implementing correctly. Now here they're going to, this is an NXT robot, and they're going to go out and we'll see if they can make this thing do what they want it to do. Pretty much lined itself up. Looks to me like they're probably using timing. This thing, you'll notice that it tripped together. It was going to try to have all those things, and the thoughts seemed to be good, but for some reason it left all of those other over in the other area. Now that got back into base, and they're resetting this. Watch this one. Very interesting how they're trying to do multiple things at the same time. When they go out with this one, it's going to drop off some things and leave them where they're supposed to be. Oftentimes in a competition, there's a challenge where you need to take something that you have basically in your area and move it and place it in another area. So they've built a little attachment here that holds onto this thing. And the kids are going to start this and it'll drive it out. That thing flipped down. It deposited those windmills, and then it also did another thing. Then this thing flips down again, brings back a whole bunch of corn. So they basically got 3 missions done with just one movement of the robot.